Hello and welcome to another episode of Chalking, and this is the space where we talk about all things educational. Today we're exploring homeschooling, and the question is that something you've considered? Is that something that you might want to try, maybe a little worried about? Well, we'll be talking to Yvonne Van Wyk, who's a homeschooler herself. She's also been a career educator, so she gives us the lowdown. Let's get to it. Before we get into it, a quick message from the sponsor of this episode. With over 6,000 videos covering all grades and most subjects, Dork is the most comprehensive online platform for extra lessons, exam revision, and homework assistance. For only 149 Rand a month, you get access to all grades and subjects, and also the ability to create up to 4 profiles under one subscription. They've got your whole family covered. Think Netflix, but for education. So sign up to Dork, click the link in the description below, and use the promo code CHALKING to get 20% off your first month. Let's get back into it. Well, we have a homeschooler here, and she herself is an out-of-the-box educator, but you wear a lot of different hats, don't you, Yvonne?
I do. I am a mom who homeschools. I am a mom who has a child in the system. I am an educational consultant, and just all over very passionate about getting kids the education that they deserve.
Before we talk about homeschooling specifically, take us through your journey about this out-of-the-box thinking in terms of education. What made you start to think there's a different way of doing things?
Being in the system for 25 years, being trained in traditional teaching, I realized that more and more children were starting to show a need for more. And if we don't listen to that need, we're going to end up with rebellion. The masses will show us where the trend needs to go. And we're finding children with more and more diagnoses of different ADHDs. And there are legitimate diagnoses, please don't get me wrong. But we need to look for options that work for them. And out-of-the-box thinking, as far as education, really is admitting that no one solution is right for every child. We have individuals. They have moods. They have wants. They have interests. And they also have different styles of learning. Instead of trying to squash that into a box, let's watch it blossom. Let's grow it.
Then came the decision to teach your kids at home, homeschooling.
Yeah.
Take us through the journey for you, because there must be parents who think, everyone goes to a normal school, inverted commas. Is this the right thing to do? There must have been anxieties, fears, questions. Take us through your journey, because that's probably going to help some of our parents think about alternatives.
Peter, I can say, as an educator who is supposed to have the answers in education, you'd think this was an easy decision for me. It was probably the most difficult decision I've ever made, because you hold your child's future in your hands. So you take this decision very seriously. There is massive gravity to making a change or a shift. At the time, it's a huge responsibility. Yes, I have a history of being able to educate, but who knows your child better than a mom? And if you are able to read your child and you are willing to commit the time and the structure to be able to help your child thrive, this is the route for you. And it's not an easy journey. There's a lot of discovery that has to happen. There are so many options. Do I teach via a book? Do I teach online? Do I just wander the fields and do eclectic learning? These are all right for someone, but you've got to decide what's right for your child and what's right for your family. I have one family that I have the privilege of knowing who currently travels Canada in a van, who studies online, but really is discovering the world. And both parents are in some form of aquatic studies. And she is getting to see the biology under the surface with her parents. I can't imagine that being in a classroom could supersede that. But that's their journey. There is no one size fits all for homeschoolers either. It needs to be what works for you, what you are willing and capable to do. And then there is a huge responsibility. There is also a lot of social pushback. There was massive pushback. We absolutely loved the school that my children were in. There was nothing wrong with the school. It just wasn't where my children were going to thrive. It was a beautiful school. They were nurturing. It was structured. They were doing all the right things educationally. But I wanted more. I wanted more for my kids.
I would imagine you talk about social pushback because a lot of people will think this is unorthodox because we're just trained to do things in a certain way. How do you deal with that social pressure?
Be true to your true north. If you find something that works for your children, your responsibility as a parent is to nourish your child, not to satisfy society, not to check the boxes of other people's expectations, but know that what you're doing is in the best interest of your child. And who knows, you may just create the next lateral thinker that comes up with a solution for the next generation. We're creating an immense amount of problems right now, social, medical, environmental. We're going to have kids who think way beyond what we do. And hopefully that's what we're creating. We're breaking the mold socially, and hopefully that breaks that thought process as well.
Where does one start? How do I've decided that I want to look into this. Where do I go?
The best thing to do is we have our friend Google. Narrow it down not just to South Africa. We're a global village now. Get your resources from America if you want to do an exit plan that gets you out of an American diploma. If you want to do Cambridge, research things in the UK. There is literally a global village happening here. We can get anything through Amazon. So what we need to do is first figure out, what do I want for my child? Do I want them to be working in books? Do I want them online? Do we want to have a break, a detox from schooling, and just get that anxiety to disappear first? Then we start exploring different things. You know, if my child is so anxious when a book is put in front of them, can the book. Try online. Try auditory learning. Try YouTube videos. We have such a wealth of information at our fingertips. Do it your way, and then have a structure that you're able to measure, am I doing enough? And I think that is probably the question that most homeschool moms ask themselves daily at 2 a.m. when we wake up worrying, are we doing enough? Have a measure, whether that's Cambridge or whether that's CAP's curriculum. Make sure that you have a checklist as the parent to make sure that you are meeting standards, that you are doing enough, but then make it your own.
All right, so you've started the process, and I just wonder now, in terms of what are the advantages and perhaps some of the challenges, because each choice you make comes with a plus and a minus. Some might say, what about social interaction and sport and things like that if you're homeschooling?
I'm not nearly as experienced as many other homeschool moms, and if you had to hop onto platforms and ask this very question, you would probably get 1,000 different answers. I can only speak to my experience. From a social point of view, my children have never had more time to be social. Put in an environment that supports our values and supports their interests. So suddenly they're in an age range which is not just 6-year-olds or just 8-year-olds. They're learning to work with children of a much wider range of ages. And I'm seeing that social ineptness disappear. They're able to communicate at different levels, but they're also able to tap into resources. Children who are older, who are able to maybe tutor them in a concept they don't get in math, or younger children who need a bit of help that they may be able to offer some understanding, and that boosts their confidence beautifully. So from a social point of view, yeah, we have immense opportunity, and they have more adult interaction because we're out and about when other kids are sitting in a classroom. the big advantage of homeschooling is the rush and the anxiety is gone. We're not needing to get out the house in a uniform with breakfast and homework done by 6:30 and beat the traffic. And that has made probably the biggest change in our household. We're relaxed. When we sit down to learn, we have a structure, we have a time to learn, and it is based on each child's biorhythm. I have an early riser who at 5 a.m. is doing learning with me, but I have another who loves waking up at 9. And that one really, that child gets to sleep late, refresh, revive, have a big breakfast, take in the world, and then submerges themselves in the learning. So the rush is taken away. And I think that's what our children really are struggling with, is we're always rushing, hurrying, and it's not enough. It's not quick enough. And more information, more books, more work.
So it can be quite daunting, I guess, once you're at your home address with your children and you've got these tasks in front of you. And there might be moments of self-doubt. So is there support? Is there help to get you through?
Absolutely. I think the one thing that's helped me in that situation is going to a tutor center. Don't try to do it all yourself. You are a mom, you are the educator, you are the caregiver, you are the counselor, you're the wife, you're also your own person. Don't try to do it all. If you need support in terms of maybe just taking a Monday off, find a tutor center, find a learning center, find something where they maybe pursue their interests. And you don't have to be a part of that. It's very important for them to have an identity away from you too. As far as support is concerned from an emotional point of view, there are so many groups. There is so much out there for us. Moms that have walked the journey and now run Facebook groups or have WhatsApp groups that give you resources. And you can pop a message on there and go, I'm really not feeling the spelling for grade 2. Does anyone have a resource for me? And suddenly you have PDFs coming into your mailbox. The support is there. You have to be willing to take it. You need to admit that you can't be all things to everyone and take that support.
And I suppose in a digital world, there are also lots of resources online.
Yeah, and your resources don't just have to be paper. I really do encourage parents, step away from paper. We like to think if they write it, then they know it. Go online, search the Dork platform, and it's searchable. You put in trinomials and the lesson pops up. Search it. YouTube, I find, for me, has been a challenge because it doesn't apply to the South African curriculum, but it has a lot of useful information. If you go onto the Dork platform and you look up a lesson, you watch it, then you can teach it. If you have a tactile learner, it can be our tool and training as a parent to use that lesson and teach it back to our children.
Yvonne, it's been great talking to you. I know it's a subject that some people might find a little scary, but it's exciting as well. So something to think about because our kids are unique, aren't they?
Yeah, and courage.
Yeah.
Courage from a parent to make the change and courage from the kids to just break the mold. Be yourself.
All right, there you have it. A home educator, out-of-the-box teacher, for using other words, content specialist, so many hats. But in the end, she's a mom who wants the best for her kids, and homeschooling is an option. Lots of support, lots of resources, something perhaps to consider. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Yvonne, all about homeschooling. I know some of you might be thinking about it and maybe a little worried, but some sound advice there from her. Now, if you want to see something on the program, a particular subject that you want us to explore, please write in the comment line below, and also the questions you might want us to be posing to certain people. Don't forget also to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications so that you don't miss future episodes. From me and the team, see ya.